The cold planet. The wind was sharp like broken glass cutting through the air. Snow fell from the sky like ashes from a dying fire. The ground was white and endless and dead. No trees, no animals, only ice and silence. Small figures moved slowly across the frozen land. Their feet were bare. Their skin was thin. They were not made for this kind of cold. They shivered. They coughed. They whispered to each other in a soft language that sounded like music if music could cry. They were children, alien children, lost and hungry, with nothing to wear, nowhere to go. Their village was gone, burned by raiders from the north sky, metal monsters with red eyes. They came with fire and left with nothing but silence behind them. Now only 7 children remained. 7 souls in a world made of ice and sorrow. The oldest one was called Sin. He was only 12 cycles old, but he carried the others like a father. He told them stories. He kept them walking. He never cried where they could see. He told them, "Keep moving. Do not stop. If we stop, we sleep. If we sleep, we never wake." One child fell. Another helped. They moved on. No food. No shelter. Their breath was smoke in the air. Their bodies were shadows on the snow. Above them, the sky was gray and heavy like it was tired of holding its own sadness. Then a sound broke the silence. A deep hum like a forgotten song came from above. They looked up. A shape came through the clouds. A ship, not like the ones that burned their home. This one was old. Rust on the wings. Soft light in the windows. The ship landed slowly, careful, gentle, as if it did not want to scare the snow. The children froze. They did not run. They had nowhere to run. They had nothing left to fear. The door opened. Steam hissed out like a breath from a giant. A figure stepped down. Not metal. Not red-eyed. Not a monster. A human. Tall. Wrapped in warm clothes. A light on the shoulder. A kind, worn face. Like he had seen many winters but still believed in spring. He looked at them. All 7. One by one. And he said something. They did not understand the words, but they felt the meaning. They heard the warmth in his voice. The quiet strength. No fear. No hate. No command. Then he spoke again. This time slower. Clearer. "Come with me." The children looked at Sen. Sen did not speak. He looked at the human. Then at the others. Then back at the human. He stepped forward. Just one step. The human smiled. He opened a bag. Pulled out a long brown cloth. Thick, soft, warm. He placed it on the snow. Then stepped back. Sen walked to it. Touched it. Lifted it. Wrapped it around a small child beside him. The child sighed. Sen looked at the human again. This time, he nodded. The human opened his arms. Not wide. Not fast. Just enough to say, "You are safe." One by one, the children moved forward. The human helped them into the ship. Inside it was warm. So warm. The air smelled like bread and fire and something old and good. They sat in silence. Not because they were scared, but because they could not believe what was happening. The human gave them water. Food in soft packs. Blankets like clouds. No questions. No orders. Only care. He sat across from them. Watched them eat. Watched them rest. His eyes were tired, but not empty. Sen asked in his soft voice. "What?" The human smiled. "Because someone once did the same for me." The ship rose from the ground. Slow and silent. The cold planet shrank beneath them. But the cold inside them. That cold began to melt. They did not know where the ship would go. They did not know who the man really was. But they knew one thing. They were no longer alone. And sometimes, that is all you need to survive. He did not speak much. But when he did, the walls listened. The ship listened. Even the stars outside seemed to pause. His name was not important. At least not to him. But the children whispered it in their sleep. Over and over. Like a soft prayer. Like a fire that refused to go out. They called him the human. He walked like he carried something heavy inside. Not in his hands. Not on his back. But in his chest. a weight made of memories, of people he could not save, of places that no longer existed. He flew alone, always alone, until now. The ship was old, not shiny like the warships, not fast like the traders, but it had a heart. The engine purred like a sleeping animal. The lights flickered like stars behind clouds, felt alive in a quiet way. The children stayed close together, wrapped in blankets, eyes half open, bodies still cold. But something inside them had changed. A small thing, a spark maybe, hope maybe. He watched them, every hour, every breath. He checked the ship. He cooked small meals. He made warm tea from powder that tasted like honey and fire. He never asked them to talk. He just waited. One day, Sen walked to the front of the ship, sat beside him, looked out the window into the black sky. "Why did you help us?" Sen's voice was quiet, like wind passing through trees. The human kept flying, hands on the controls, eyes forward, "Because I was once the one left in the snow." Sen did not speak again, but he stayed beside him for a long time. There were things the children did not know. They did not know he had once lived on a cold moon. They did not know he had lost a family in the fire wars. They did not know he had buried friends on planets that no longer had names. But he remembered every face, every goodbye, and every time someone turned away instead of helping. He had sworn, if he ever saw someone left behind, he would not turn away. Now here they were, 7 small lives, 7 soft voices, eating his food, wearing his blankets, sleeping in his ship. The human stood at night in the hallway, looked at the stars, whispered to no one, "I hope this is enough." One of the youngest children, a girl with silver eyes, woke up crying, dreams of fire and metal. He sat beside her, held her hand, told her a story about Earth, about trees that danced in the wind, about animals that sang in the morning, about oceans that touched the sky. She smiled in her sleep, just once, then drifted off again. He sat there until she was calm, then returned to the control room. He opened a small metal box. Inside was a photo, faded, edges cracked. A woman, a boy, and him, all smiling. He closed it slowly, not with sadness, but with something else. Maybe peace, maybe purpose. The ship beeped softly. A signal, a warning. They were not alone in space. Something was following. The human looked at the radar. 3 dots. Fast. Sharp turns. Military code. He muttered to himself. Not yet. Not now. He turned down the lights. Changed course. Made the ship move like a shadow. Silent. Invisible. The children kept sleeping. He did not wake them. They had run far. But the past was faster. In the distance, a transmission buzzed. Unknown language. Threat or warning. He turned it off. He reached into a drawer, pulled out a small patch. Worn. Black. Letters faded. It read, Rescue Unit 17. No one left behind. He placed it on the wall above the control screen. He stared at it, then at the stars. They were coming, but he would be ready. He was only one human, but sometimes, one is enough. The ship dreamed when the children slept. It hummed like an old lullaby. Soft lights blinked like fireflies trapped in metal skin. The stars outside did not speak, but they watched. Sen opened his eyes before the others, not because of noise, but because of silence too deep. He walked barefoot across the cold floor, careful, slow. He found the human sitting in the front, staring at the black space like it held answers. Are we being chased? Sen asked. The human nodded once, but his face was calm. Danger was real, but panic was a choice. He pressed a few buttons. The screen glowed. A map of stars appeared. Red marks, flashing signs, blocked paths. We cannot go home, the human said, and we cannot stay lost. Then where? Sen asked. The human pointed to a small green light in the corner of the map. Here. The planet was unnamed, hidden, covered by solar storms and space ice. No big ships could land there. No armies could fly near. I call it safe place. The human said. Sun looked at the light. It was small, but in that moment, felt bigger than anything. He walked back to the others. They were waking now, yawning, stretching, smiling without fear. They ate together, laughed a little. The small girl with silver eyes made shapes with her hands. She pretended to be a bird. The human watched, his face soft, like sunlight on old metal. The ship moved like a ghost, through broken asteroid fields, around dead stars, under old war satellites still blinking red in the dark. No one spoke much, but no one needed to. Sometimes, silence is a kind of music. One night, Sen found a room he had never entered. The door was not locked, but it felt like it should be. Inside were boxes, photos, an old guitar with broken strings, a coat with medals, a flag folded tight, earth things, human things. He touched nothing, but he stayed for a while. When the human found him there, he did not get angry. He sat down on the floor beside Sen and began to talk. He told stories about his home planet, about green fields, tall buildings, loud cities, and quiet forests. He spoke of a boy who loved stars, who dreamed of saving people, who joined the rescue fleet, who flew into war, who came back with no one left to fly home to. Sen listened without words. In that quiet room, a boy who lost his world, and a man who lost his people, became something new. Not just lost, not just broken, but connected. The next day, the ship shook. A warning. Enemies were close. They had found a trail, a signal, a scent of old fuel. The human did not panic. He moved fast, locked systems, cut power, made the ship cold, so it would look dead. The children huddled in silence. They passed like shadows across the windows. Dark ships, hunters, looking for weakness, but the ship held still. No light, no breath, like a sleeping giant who knew how to play dead. Hours passed. Then the signal faded. The hunters left. The children cheered softly. One clapped. The human smiled for the first time in many days. But the smile was short, because the ship had taken damage. One engine spark. Not enough fuel for full travel. The path to safe place was still long. We may need to stop, the human said. One station remains ahead. Old, abandoned, maybe useful, maybe dangerous. Sen asked, what if it is a trap? Then we fight. The human answered, but only if we must. Sen nodded. The ship turned its course, toward the unknown. The journey had begun, not just across stars, but across fear, across pain, across the space between strangers and family. And in the middle of that black cold universe, a small ship carried something rare, hope. The pod landed hard on the frozen surface of an unknown metal and fear, followed like a blanket thrown over a scream. Elliot woke, first his body remembered things his mind had tried to forget. The cracked pod window outside. The ship was only white snow and sharp wind, not bright broken sky with two moons, the kind of red like that meant one thing. Syrah opened her eyes far behind them and looked around. In the dark ocean, this is not a safe zone. She said, voice dry. This is not on the map. Ships shaped like blades. Elliot pulled the emergency beacon offline. He had done it on purpose. He knew they could track standard escape paths. They were not looking for lost, erased from the colony network. For those who gave help, abandoned after failed mining operations years ago. No one came here. The children felt they stepped outside, boots sinking into the pressure in the air, sharp like knives. The sky was holding deeper than fear. Elliot scanned the area, found an old bunker buried under ice. Its doors rusted, but still locked with human code. We will try. He entered the override. The human door creaked open like something inside was holding its breath. His hands moved fast. The lights inside flickered alive as they stepped in memory from a past everywhere. Metal walls covered in dust. He spoke to the ship like it was alive. Was a secret of vault not meant to be found. One more time, and yet here they were hunted and hiding inside a ghost made of wires and memory. but strong. Sarah looked around, like her body remembered too. This place smells the ship like turned sharply. Elliot said through nothing, rings but he felt it too. Something was wrong here. Something under old gravity mines left. They walked through narrow halls past behind cameras and screens. 3 hunter ships blinked error codes like they were trying to speak. Then they found the central room where bodies still sat. The human knew the math. In uniforms. One of them was holding a photo of a child and a note that said, "Forgive me, I tried." But he was not Sarah out covered yet. Her mouth, her voice, a whisper. What is this place? Opened hidden systems. Elliot moved to the main console, connected his pad, and downloaded the last logs in the files loaded slowly. The children held from a failed mission marked confidential, unauthorized hybrid breeding program project. Eden status failed to contain now. Breach 0 survivors. One of the younger boys whispered. He kept reading each word heavier than the last Earth command. The human tried to create hybrid soldiers right here using alien DNA and human test subjects. The result was not life. He turned off something else, something that broke the lab from inside and killed everyone before it could be shut down. Ran the ship through a narrow asteroid path. This is where they started. Blades of rock spinning. This is where they tried to do what you are now. Both sides. Sarah stepped back like the rock. No wonder they called my kind of threat. They moved for him. They made us monsters before we ever had a chance to be alive. One hunter clipped a stone. Elliot was about to answer when the alarm blinked again. Motion detected outside, but it was not the alien ship, not the hunters from before. This was different. The ID signature was Human Earth Command Shuttle. He turned toward a red dwarf star. He stared at the screen, confused, shocked, angry. How did they get here? He used it like a slingshot. Maybe they were never far. Maybe someone on your side was watching all along. The door shook once, then twice, then burst open, and what stepped inside was not a creature, not a robot, but a man dressed in Earth Command uniform, face calm, only one now, like someone who had forgotten how to be human. The leader. Hello, Elliot, he said, voice smooth, deadly. You were always clever, followed, never obedient. Elliot stepped forward, fists tight. What are you doing here? This graveyard is off limits. From wars long forgotten. The man smiled. Nothing is off limits when a weapon is missing, and she is our weapon. He looked at Sarah like a lab sample. He opened not a person. She stared back like fire trapped in ice. One he saved. Elliot only when it mattered. If she's a weapon, then fake am I, and you can't have either of us. One that made the ship seem like it exploded. The man raised a small device. The system fired a light. Suddenly, Sarah fell to the ground. Her body shaking, her voice choking. Something inside her had been triggered. Something far away didn't know was there. It looked like the ship had died. He rushed to her, trying to break whatever signal was hurting her. And the man said calmly, she's built to obey, just like the others. You may think she's different, but she's not. And when she gives birth, turned away, the child too. Gone. Elliot's blood turned to ice. He grabbed the nearest pipe and swung it at the device, breaking it from the man's hand. Sparks flew. Sarah gasped, and her eyes flared silver again. The air in the room made it like heat on metal, and everything went still. That was not stood slowly, pain still in her limbs, but fire rising again in her veins. No more, she said, only her voice, a little, not loud, but it was real. No more cages, the children no more cheered control. Quietly. The man reached for another weapon, but not Elliot because they were safe forever. He tackled him to the ground, because they were safe around his throat, eyes burning with something he thought he had lost long ago. Rage, love, purpose. When the ship was calm again, forward and the console lights turned blue, why do they chase touching the system? Because I helped something hidden, a vault opened, and inside was a file marked Project when they said the last piece of the failed experiment, and the only one that they fear kindness. Elliot looked because at the screen. It is the one thing her. You are not a weapon. You are a key. The others Sarah whispered. Then let's unlock everything. The stars kept moving, but inside, the fire of survival burned brighter than ever. The planet was not on any map, but it lived in his memory, not in pictures, not in names, but in a promise made long ago, in a voice now gone, to a person now dust. If I ever find a place untouched, I will save it. I will keep it safe. I will make it home for the lost. That place was real now, still far, but close enough to believe in. The human stood in the control room, eyes on the screen, hands calm, mind full. The children were sleeping, soft breaths, small dreams, a silence made of trust. They had stopped asking questions about tomorrow, because now they believed there would be one. Sen walked in, no words at first, just stood beside him. You knew about this place before us? Sen asked. Yes. Why didn't you go there alone? Why wait? Because a place means nothing if it is empty. Sen nodded, then asked, will they find us again? The human answered without pause. Yes. The question was never if, only when. But we will reach before they do. And when we do, we will make it ours. The ship hummed like it agreed. Its engines tired, its wings bruised, but its heart still strong. They flew past a dead station, rust and silence, past a broken moon, split like a cracked bone, past lights that did not blink anymore. And then, at the edge of a soft blue cloud, they saw it. Safe place. It was not beautiful like the stories. It was wild. rough, full of fog and strange shapes. But it was real. The human slowed the ship, entered orbit, breathed slowly, like someone coming home to a place they had only seen in dreams. The children gathered near the window, eyes wide, mouths open, hearts full. Trees, not many, but tall and strange. Water, still and silver. Sky, pink like soft fire. Sen whispered, "It looks like it's waiting for us." The human smiled. Maybe it was. They landed near a hill. Flat space. Quiet wind. The doors opened. Warm air. Not hot, but kind. Like a hand on your shoulder. One by one, the children stepped out. They touched the ground. Touched the plants. Touched the sky with their eyes. Some laughed. Some cried. Some just stood still and breathed. The human watched. He did not step out right away. He checked the scanner. Watched for signals. Listened for engines. None. But he knew. Peace does not last. Not without effort. He began building small shelters. Used old ship parts. Cut wood. Taught Sen how to make fire. He showed them how to listen to the land. How to mark the safe spots. How to hide without being afraid. At night, they sat around the small fire. The girl with silver eyes made shadows on the wall with her hands. The others clapped, laughed, shared food, and the human told stories, not of war, but of stars that sang, of animals that glowed, of people who chose to be better. Sen asked, "What will we do when they come?" "We will not run again." The human said, "We will protect this place, because it belongs to us now." Sen looked around. The others nodded. Even the small ones. They believed. For the first time, they had a reason to stand. The human fixed the old radio. Sent a message into the stars. Short, clear. "If you are lost, if you are cold, if you are hunted, come to us. We will not turn you away." He turned off the radio. Looked at the sky. "Let them come. Let the darkness come. We have fire now." He knew it before the alarm. Before the signal. Before the sky turned red again. He knew because peace never lasts forever. Not for people like him. Not for places born from war and kindness. He stood at the edge of the hill. The wind was quiet. The trees still. The air too soft. Something was missing. And that something was safety. Sen ran to him, eyes full of fear. "The signal. It's them." He nodded. "Yes, they are coming." The children gathered. All 7. He looked at them. One by one. He saw warmth. He saw strength. He saw everything he had tried to protect. The ship was ready. Barely. Broken parts. Missing systems. But it could fly one last time. Only one. He opened the map. Showed Sen a new spot. Further into the mountains. Hidden. Hard to reach. But safe. If they could get there in time. Sen understood. But he didn't like the plan. Who will fly the ship? The human didn't answer right away. Because some answers do not need words. He touched Sen's shoulder. Gave him a small disc. Inside were maps. Codes. Instructions. "You lead them now. I taught you everything I know." Sen's voice broke. "You can come with us. We'll all hide together." The human shook his head. "They are tracking the ship. If it moves, they follow. If it burns, they chase. But if it goes up and never comes down, they will think you are gone. A trick. A goodbye. A shield." Sen held the disc tightly, his hands shaking. "You're staying behind." The human smiled. But it was the kind of smile that hurts more than crying. Someone has to close the door. The sky cracked open. Ships entered orbit. Dark and fast. Weapons ready. No more time. He hugged each child. One by one. Said nothing. Just looked into their eyes. So they would remember his face. Not as a fighter, but as a fire. Sen was the last. "You saved us." The human said. "No, you saved me." He walked to the ship. Alone. No armor. No backup. Just heart. He closed the door. Started the engine. It groaned like an old warrior. But it listened one more time. He took off. The enemy locked on. chased him like wolves. He flew straight into the sky, then turned, drew them away from the hill. They fired. He dodged. He danced through the clouds, fast, sharp, brave. The children watched from the trees. Sen held them close, told them not to look away, told them to be proud. The human flew higher, above clouds, above sound. He opened all channels, broadcasted his voice, loud, clear. This is Rescue Unit 17. I am all that's left, but I am not afraid. You came for the weak, but you found me instead. You want fear. You want silence. You want to erase kindness. But I am still here, and I am not alone. He turned the ship, dived toward a mountain. The enemy followed, thinking it was the final strike. But he had already set the ship to burn. He jumped out at the last second, fell like a star into the forest. The enemy ships saw the crash, saw the fire, felt the blast, and they believed. They turned away. Mission complete. Nothing left. They left, and the sky was quiet again. The children waited. Sen watched, hoped. Then, from the smoke, a shape limped into view. Burned jacket, bloody hands, but walking. The human. Sen ran to him. So did the others. Tears, laughter, words lost in the wind. He didn't fall. Not yet. He smiled. You're safe now. That's all I wanted. And then, he sat down, leaned against a tree, eyes closed, not in pain, but in peace. The children sat with him, until the sun rose, and when it did, they built something new, not just a home, but a story that would live forever. It started with his jacket, old, burnt, torn at the sleeve, still warm with the memory of the man who wore it. They folded it with care, placed it under the tree where he had sat. They did not build a grave. They built a garden. Around that tree, they planted seeds he had brought from other worlds. He never said where he got them, but he had carried them through stars and storms and fire. Now, they grew, slow at first, then faster, like they had been waiting for this land, for this moment. The tree was called Heartroot. The garden was called Promise. The place was called Home. Years passed. Not many, but enough to change small voices into strong ones. Sen became a guide, not a leader. He said leaders tell, but guides walk beside. The children grew, built homes with stone and wood, learned to farm, to trade, to dream. They never forgot the chase, the cold, the ship, the human who said, "Come with me." They told his story by the fire, carved his name into stone, not just letters, but meaning. He who did not run. One night, when the stars were close, Sen found the old radio, buried under dust and wires. He fixed it, not to call for help, but to send a message. He sat alone, wind blowing through the open door. He pressed the button and spoke. If you are tired, if you are hunted, if you have no name, no voice, no place, come to us. We remember what it means to be left behind. We remember what it feels like to be saved. This is safe place. We are alive. We are free. We are not afraid. He let the message loop. Let it fly out into space, over broken satellites, through forgotten stations, into the ears of anyone who still had hope left. And they came. One ship at first, scared, half broken, carrying two souls who had seen too much. Then another, and another, people of every kind, every shape, every silence, each one carrying pain, each one carrying light. They were welcomed, fed, hugged, healed. Some left. Most stayed. The garden grew wider, the home stronger, the children taller. But the story never changed. They kept his name, not as a memory, but as a promise. They called him the first flame, and every year, they lit a fire under the stars, said his name, all together, not as a hero, but as family. The youngest child, now grown, placed her hand on the tree, felt the warmth in the bark, closed her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. The wind moved through the leaves, soft, gentle, almost like it answered. Some say they still see him, walking at night, checking the garden, watching the stars. Maybe it's just a story, maybe not, but everyone agrees on one thing. When he said, "Come with me," he did not mean, "Follow me." He meant, "Live together," and they did.